The Kolbrin Bible. We're going to be diving into some of the gems here in the Kolbrin Bible, and this is part 2. In the first video, we kind of introduced the whole Kolbrin and dived into the Sons of Fire. Here, I want to talk about spiritual vision, Hermeticism, and really kind of like, spiritual vision mainly. And this is preceding the Twice-Born Mysteries. Now, the Kolbrin Bible is 855 pages long, huge book. And really my intent here is just to bring some of the gems, the most potent passages from this text to light and really help orient us. We're going through this massive awakening right now, and the Kolbrin, I do believe, holds some of those hidden keys to the mysteries that have been long buried with ancient civilizations and long buried in the heart of man. We are here to awaken to a mystery that has been unperceived for millennia now. So with that being said, we're reading from the book of Lucius, chapter 7 here, and this is kind of about spiritual vision and priming us for that spiritual vision. So if you like this kind of video, hit that like button, share this video, and make sure to stay tuned for further readings like this. Last thing before we get started, if you want to download the Kolbrin, link in the description for that to go get it from the website. And furthermore, there's a whole series on Gems of the Sacred Wisdom passages, link in the description for that playlist. Let me know if you want more of these kinds of videos. I want to bring these out on a weekly basis, but let's do this thing. Life comes from the Supreme Spirit and reaches the sphere of matter and mortality through the sphere above, and nature works with clay. Man is the receptacle of life in both parts of his twofold being. Though he should learn to concentrate it in his higher self, the life force becomes strong in the spiritual man, but is weak in the worldly man, just as it is strong in the eagle and weak in the grub. My friends, Lucius, there's so much Hermeticism laced within all of this, the whole Kolbrin Bible, and this is the bronze book from ancient Egypt. And his twofold being, we have a divine nature and a mortal nature. And by concentrating and actually becoming aware of that higher nature, we can actually begin to charge truer life force and concentrate that life force. And this whole passage, this whole reading I'm doing here is to try to kind of illuminate and point us towards that spiritual horizon. In the words of Lucius, this master of wisdom, such a great teacher. My friends, the things I wish to teach from so high a doctrine that it is difficult to convey them to the clouded minds of men. Some will never grasp the meaning of and message. Others will laugh at them in scorn. Those who try to help men along the steep upward road and who extend the hand of friendship are more often mocked than heeded. Man prefers to sleep in the soft bed of agnosia rather than be awakened to harsh reality. Those who disturb complacent slumbers are usually reviled. To think is to understand and believe, but to be unthinking and unbelieving is less disturbing and follows the wide way of ease and apathy. Most men who seek spirituality is to be left alone, undisturbed. Most of the things spoken here in the Hermitage are not for the uninitiated and must not be recorded, for an infant cannot be entrusted with the firebrand. Initiation is a meaningful rite, the purpose of which is to awaken the sleeper and open his spiritual eyes. Little purpose is served beyond talking to a sleeping man, still less to a deaf man, and even less to one who has no desire to hear. So it is that man walk as though in a fog and see things hazily with distortion. You, my friends, must go among men and take their hands and be their guides. If they will not follow, then alone they will suffer. For if you do your best, you can do no more. Dealing with the mind, this comes from the Supreme Spirit by way of the Holy Spirit. Let's get to... Those who seek the truth about their nature are men becoming more than men. They tread the road to godhood. Those who close their minds to truth are actually closing the doors of the cage in which they remain little more than animals. The apathetic man becomes deluded under the influence of his own ideas and imagination. He readily accepts the teaching it requiring no thought or effort. If ever a teacher comes along who says, "Surrender your will and reason to me, and I will assure you of life everlasting," he will be unable to count his followers. followers. My friends, those who seek the truth about their own nature are men becoming more than men. They tread the road to godhood. This is kind of the idea that's so heavily expressed within the Kolbrin Bible. And what we're getting into is like the man God or the twice born mysteries. These are very, very high ideas. But it's time for these to be kind of the doors to be open. Knowing the truth, you now realize the futility and foolishness of repeating thoughtlessly the feeble formula, I am helpless, I am a miserable wrongdoer bound by the misdeeds of my fathers, I am not naturally inclined towards evil and cannot save myself. Save me, have mercy, forgive me, meek and miserable am I. Sounds like the warped Christian doctrine of the churches. Those, my friends, are actually words spoken, and doubtless you will let them speak for themselves. Such an outlook is not only degrading but condemns man to disinheritance. It blinds him to his true nature and blinding him with knots of ignorance. Without doubt, it is difficult to understand the Supreme Spirit and his great plan, and all too easy to sneer and dismiss the disturbing thoughts and shun the effort. There's a great mystery out here, my friends. Open our eyes. Get curious again. There's so much out here that's unseen, that we can know. It is only after long and careful consideration has been given to the matter that man comes to believe in spiritual things and his own immortality, and that is only the first step. Time has established that disbelief and lack of faith spring either from inability to think deeply or from apathy. In either case, the mind, yada, yada, yada. My friends, Hermeticism is about immortality. If we read the words of Hermes Trismegistus in the Corpus Hermeticum, it's all about creating the immortal body and essentially aligning with your divine nature. Fire ascends to fire, earth descends to earth, but it's not in the way that so much of the New Age is portraying the narrative of like, oh, we're already immortal beings. It's just about the spiritual life focused there. No, there's a very holistic way of actualizing like man's potential and stepping into that place of, perfected initiate. That's kind of the goal, and like the sons of fire, I see them as a tribe of twice born ones, literally, like messiahs walking. True spiritual enlightenment cannot be found through the written words of man alone or through reason and logic, but those are important signposts along the way. They point in the right direction, and the good books are reliable guides along the road. And there comes a point where, to find spiritual enlightenment, man has to commit himself to a spiritual vehicle and be conveyed beyond the bounds of matter. The ability of any man to attain spirituality and know the truth is limited only by his steadfastness and search and fortitude in the struggle. I'd also add to that his aspiration, his intensity of practice. So the remaining part of this chapter is kind of calibrating the mindscape to perceive these higher spiritual ideas and commune with the Supreme Spirit. So much of the Kolbrin is about learning to open our eyes to the Supreme Spirit and learn to commune with him in real ways. Okay, and this kind of gets into those twice born mysteries. The bodiless body. You ask me about higher vision. Again, it is difficult to express myself in words. It becomes a brilliant light, but not like a blazing glare of the sun, before which men are forced to close their eyes. Right? So, attaining to spiritual vision, let's talk about spiritual vision for a minute here. Jesus said, let thine eye be single, right? Buddha said the body is the eye, okay? In yoga is literally about union with God, and it's a perception through the whole body. We see with our whole body. Our whole body is a vehicle of perception. And when we're breathing deeply and we're getting into our body and we're relaxing our body and we're opening our perception and sense of feeling, right? Our mind is centered on that spiritual life, that one permeating field of Supreme Spirit through all things. By doing this kind of practice, by doing this kind of yoga, right? We can actually start to activate the body, activate that pranic energy within, and open to a higher perception, to transmute these physical senses into the higher ones. And such men are true illuminated ones, and there are not many. By far the greater number are deceived and upward reflections of illusion. And because these appear as glorious visions, they accept them as reflections of truth. This is always a great danger, but there are tests to guard against deception. Spiritual things are far more difficult to understand than earthly things, and their study requires much greater effort and self-discipline. That is why there are so few spiritual people, truly spiritual people, not the ones that, just like live at an ashram and only focus on, simple meditation, but those like, really striving, actualizing all the archetypes inside. The lower mortal mind can only gain a faint insight into them through spoken words, and then only by a supreme effort of understanding. These prove too much for most people, and so spirituality goes into a decline. If the effort directed towards destructive or purposeless worldly things has been directed towards spiritual ends, the race of man would now become a race of man-gods. My friends, think about how much energy our generation, the society, directs towards revelry, directs towards partying, directs towards media, entertainment, consumption. If we actually had a symbol of what life could be like, of the man-God potential within all of us, if that was the image of great men, if that's what children aspired towards, think about our world. There are some among you who do not understand the mystery of rebirth. It means rebirth into spiritual consciousness, and this is the central secret of all time, the knowledge of which can change men into man-gods. This is everything, my friends, the twice-born mystery, the mystery of rebirth. Jesus said you must be reborn to enter the kingdom, right? Like, it's the mystery of rebirth. This is, centralized in all sacred texts, all doctrines. It's the secret of all time, the knowledge that will change men into man-gods. The reborn man can bid his soul spirit go into any place he chooses, and it will be there quick as thought. It will pass over the seas or penetrate through the denseness of the forest, not as a thing moving swiftly, but as a thing already there, transcending space and time. The soul spirit, once freed, can rise above all denser material things. So we're talking about freeing the soul spirit into, essentially your immortal body and forming that immortal body. And if we look at, let's look at the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Another amazing text. The Spaceborn. Literally, the Spaceborn. Free from the body I flashed through the night. Unlocked at last for me was the star space. Free was I from the bondage of night. Now to the end of space sought I wisdom, far beyond the knowledge of finite man. Far into space my soul traveled freely, into infinity's circle of light. Strange beyond man were, so this is Thoth and his story of transcending the mortal limitations and freeing his soul spirit, right? So this is this is everything from the Emerald Tablets to the Corpus Hermeticum to so much of, the deepest mysteries out there is about the twice-born mysteries, Lift up your flame from out of the darkness. Fly from the night, and ye shall be free. Traveled I through space-time, knowing my soul was at last set free, knowing that I may pursue wisdom, until at last I passed to a plane hidden from knowledge, known not to wisdom, extension beyond all that we know. Now, O man, when I had this knowing, happy what my soul... Let's move on. Not of earth are ye, earthly, but a child of the infinite cosmic light. Know ye not, O man, of your heritage? Know ye not that you are truly the light, son of the great sun, when ye gain wisdom, truly aware of your kinship with light? Now to ye I give the knowledge, freedom to walk the path I have trod, showing ye truly how by my striving I trod the path that leads to the stars. Hark ye, O man, and know of thy bondage. Know how to free thyself from thy toils. Out of darkness shall ye rise upward, one with the light and one with the stars. Follow ye ever the path of wisdom. Only by this can you rise from below. Ever man's destiny leads him onward into the curves of infinity's all. Know ye, O man, that all space is ordered. Only by order are ye one with the all. This is talking about that Hermetic principle of harmonizing with the macro. Order and balance are the law of the cosmos. Follow, and ye should be one with the all. He who would follow the pathway of wisdom must open the flower of life, extending his consciousness out of darkness, flowing through all space and all time. And this is kind of the process. You know, the Kolbrin talks about this in like 100 different passages too. Deep in the silence first ye must linger, until at last ye are free from desire, free from the longing to speak in silence. Conquer by silence the bondage of words, abstaining from eating until we have conquered the desire for food. That is the bondage of soul. Then ye lie down in darkness, close ye your eyes from the rays of light. Center thy soul force in the place of thine consciousness, shaking it free from the bonds of the night. Place in thy mind place the image of thou desireth. Picture the place thou desireth to see. Vibrate back and forth with thy power. Loosen thy soul from out of the night. Fiercely thou must shake with all thy power until that at last thy soul shall be free. Mighty beyond words is the flame of the cosmic, hanging in planes unknown to man. Mighty and balanced, moving in order, music of harmonies far beyond man. Speaking with music, singing with color, flame from beginning of eternity's all. Spark of the flame art thou, O my children, burning with color and living with music. Listen to the voice of thou, and thou shalt be free. Consciousness free is fused with the cosmic, one with the order and low of the all. Know ye, O man, that out of darkness light shall flame forth, a symbol of all. Pray ye this prayer for attaining our wisdom. Pray for the coming light of all. Right, so mighty spirit of light that shines through the cosmos, draw my flame closer in harmony with thee. Lift up my fire from out of the darkness, magnet of fire that is one with the all. Lift up my soul, thou might and potent, child of the light, turn not away. Draw me in power and melt in thy furnace, one with all things and all things in one, fire of life strain and one with the brain. When ye have freed thy soul from its bondage, know that for ye the darkness is gone, right? So it's so interesting that he talks about vibrating back and forth, freeing thy soul place, picturing what you want to see, and like transcending space and time, and literally your soul spirit is free. This is a direct link to the Kolbrin in many different parts. Hermeticism is so laced in the Kolbrin. So this is kind of like introducing this idea of the twice-born mysteries, which I want to do a full video on. Let's see what else we got here. Yet there's another reason for following this path. For by refining and strengthening the soul spirit and awakening all of its latent powers, each man is potentially a God. He is no longer restricted to this sphere and can even contact greater beings beyond the mountain, and from them learn the truth. So strengthening the soul spirit and awakening its latent powers is actually transmuting the physical senses upward, transmuting lust into love, transmuting, two-eyed vision into spiritual vision in that third eye space, right? Transmuting, like bestial desires into spiritual or soul desires, like that true song. Life itself is real, but as expressed in the sphere of matter and mortality, it is little more than illusion. The true being lives elsewhere, and where it lives, man awakens to eternity. The illusion vanishes, and he is confronted with the real. In this sphere, man dwells in bondage to a belief in the reality of this illusion. He is attached to a passing shadow. He seeks to grasp something of substance in a place where nothing is true, substantial, and unchanging. Everything's changing here, my friends. This is building a relationship to that eternal, that immortal self. My friends, you know too well how few soul spirits are awakened from the slumber of the soft couches of agnosia, right? Of those who do wake to consciousness are some who did so quickly and lovingly embrace the great light. They seek diligently and carefully for the tree of love and eagerly eat of its nourishing fruit. Those are the noble soul spirits and the truly illuminated among men. A ray of light from the sphere of the Holy Spirit pours the vigor of renewed spiritual life into them, and they become more than men. Only the truly illuminated ones, the noble soul spirits, can approach the border of understanding, and they can see from afar. So, man, having chosen to spurn spirituality and thus lost the union in consciousness, which is his birthright, now seeks to console himself with worthless worldly baubles. With the arrogance of ignorance and the blindness, he claims the reality of his environment and endeavors to possess something outside himself, something to which he is half alien. This striving for worldly things still further buries the inner divinity, which becomes encased in materialism and no longer can be roused from its deadly slumber. Materialism and nihilism are running rampant in our modern day. While man turns his soul spirit outward towards the elusive and deceptive world of matter and mortality, seeking fulfillment there, so long he will be unaware of his greater being. He will never find true contentment and cut off from the companionable communication with his true self. He will remain restless and dissatisfied. He will always be seeking something, though he knows not what. We're cut off from our greater being, my friends. Everyone watching this far must have an inkling of that greater being, or else you would just scorn at this message or think it's all bullshit or have no reason to watch this video, right? But if you have that inkling, I encourage you to find the guides, the masters, the texts, the practices that are going to lead you onward and upward. Bear with me just a second here. Pain checks man in the midst of senseless enjoyment and makes him ponder his fate. It causes him to turn his thoughts towards greater things and to reflect upon the approach of death. Suffering, sorrow, trouble, and tests, which, if passed successfully, qualify the soul spirit for entry into the greater sphere of existence. They create in him the qualities which are needed there. To those who realize that these tests and trials have a purpose, they do not appear too harsh. But to those who cannot rise above them, or who blame the Supreme Spirit or their fellow men for what befalls them, the tests and trials appear unnecessary hardships, barely able to endure. Wow. My friends, this life is tests and celebrations. Suffering, sorrow, and trouble are tests. Pain is the only thing that demands you awaken. Pain is the only thing that demands you grow. We would never, if all we had was just enjoyment and pleasure and joy, we would never have to get deep with ourselves, to dredge up the innermost reserves of strength, to really reflect on the approach of death. We would never awaken. And by giving meaning to the pain, by giving meaning to the trials and turbulence of your life, and seeing it as not something happening to you, but something happening for you. For you in the sense there is a Superman within you, a Superwoman within you, far beyond your highest hopes. It's a secret hope of your heart. And because of that secret hope, by knowing of that greater man, that greater truth inside of you, you can give meaning to the tests and trials we see in this modern day. And by having meaning for these tests and trials, you have fuel to conquer them. Man was told to never forget that he was the custodian of his race and the designer of his earthly dominion. He was told that submission to carnal desires meant spiritual death, and that love is a laddie worthy of the greatest respect, and not a menial serving maid attending to the demands of a master. Those who were the things man was told, and he gave heed only to the first. So this is kind of what happened here. So much, my friends. I really encourage you to go read the book of Lucius. Such amazing stuff in here in the mystery school. Talking a little bit about spiritual vision in this text, warming us up for the man God. Let's see if there's anything else. But hit that subscribe button for sure. Hit that like button. Share this video. Now, finally, supreme personal spiritual experience is undoubtedly the best source and foundation for spiritual faith. It begins with the development of latent spiritual powers through meditation. When you are ready, seek out a place of solitude. This kind of goes into what Thoth was saying earlier about awakening your soul spirit and making the two become one. Let your spirit seek harmony with the spirit flowing about it so that the two become one. While in your meditations, neither overeat nor... The truth-revealing vision. To become one who knows the joys of spiritual self-consciousness is to have a truth-revealing vision, transcending anything knowable by senses, to rise above the bondage of pain and sorrow, to free the spirit from the shackles of the body at will, is something unattainable by spiritual meditation alone. Leading to this road of path of moral self-discipline and courage, the creed that teaches spiritual things alone is as barren as the one only concerned with earthly things. Wow. See if I have anything else here on spiritual vision. The intelligent man observes the way of nature and forces she utilizes. He learns how they operate so that he does not become the slave to blind forces beyond his control. Those who do not understand the workings of natural forces or overawed by them become their slaves. This is the place where nothing is seen clearly and even truth cannot be distinguished, only against a background of contrasting falsity. The dispensations of life are not entirely beyond the understanding of man, and indeed he has a duty to strive for understanding. Wow. I guess this video is kind of on the harmony of the micro and the macro, because we just keep hitting on that. And that's really what spiritual vision is. It comes from that harmonization, right? With laws beyond, material view. Everything serves a purpose, even things which seem most hurtful. Listen closely, my friends. Even that which seems most hurtful serves a purpose. It is all happening for you. Every ungainly rock has within itself a potential statue. A potential beauty lies in every block of wood or clump of clay, and what is there cannot come out of its own volition. The image and beauty are brought out only after the untouched materials have been subjected to discipline of thought and by the forming actions of a chisel, knife, or fire. According to the good things done by man, so will he be rewarded, and by the nature of evil he has done, so will he be punished. A man is paid according to his labor, and idle hands make a hungry mouth. The harmonious life. Whatever is wrong on earth is wrong with man. The discord among men comes from within themselves and not from their environment, and it is in his relationship with others that man displays his deficiencies and weakness most clearly. So, this is from the Book of Wisdom that we're getting into now. Maybe that's for a different video. I'll read some of the best passages from the Book of Wisdom, and then we'll go to the Bronze Book. Yeah, so much here, my friends. Hit that like button. Share this video. If you guys want to talk to me one-on-one, link in the description below for that. Go download this text. And yeah, check out the whole playlist if you want to go deeper into the Kolbrin, Gems of the Sacred Wisdom. I really appreciate all feedback. Thank you so much for being here. Next video, I want to dive into Hermeticism, some of the Hermetic axioms. I want to further dive into the Kolbrin, a lot of stuff here. Yeah, I'm going to leave you with this. It is not through the divine will that man suffers. The divine will is that man fulfill the divine plan through learning to overcome the restrictions and illusions of material existence by rising above them. Peace.